let's look at the legislature's final function, which is conferring legitimacy on government. It sounds pretty complicated and abstract, but in reality it's really quite straightforward. Largely because you've already done it. You may not have realized, or you may not have been paying attention, but we have looked at this already because this is all tangled up with this. We know how we move from political to legal sovereignty through elections, and we should have a good idea how we move from the legal sovereigns to the policy sovereigns. The answer to that question is, of course, parliamentary government. And the whole issue of legitimization is tangled up with parliamentary government. Now, you need to remember that according to the terms of parliamentary government, the government lacks any intrinsic legitimacy. It derives its legitimacy from Parliament. And that is conditional upon government doing its job and playing by the rules of parliamentary government, which of course are government chosen from, operating through and accountable to Parliament. So these are the rules of parliamentary government. If the government is not doing its job, if the government is not playing by the rules, then of course Parliament can withdraw its legitimacy. Now, we've seen this before. We've got three different possible outcomes. We've got the first election in '74 where we've got an overall majority and we've got a minority government. In 2010 we've got no overall majority, instead we've got a coalition government. 2015 a majority of 12, which leads to majority government. Now it doesn't matter what shape of government we're using, the whole point is that they exist because Parliament allows them to do so. And if Parliament has had enough of a particular government, then it can call time on it. And that happens through a confidence motion or a censure motion. When the government is in really deep doo-doo, the opposition can call a confidence motion, and if it's carried, the government is forced by convention to resign. They have no choice. They have to resign there and then. They do get a chance to form another government, but the chances are that no one's going to support it. And in the 1970s, we had a significant increase in censure motions. The Callaghan government survived a couple, but then eventually it hit one in 1979, lost by a vote, maybe 2 votes, and they had to resign, and consequently in came Mrs. Thatcher. Here is how it works really in practice. Here we have an election. By virtue of the vote, we wind up with a parliament. We still need a government, and so Parliament amongst itself decides, well, who is going to run our government according to the terms of parliamentary sovereignty. So there we are, we have government one. Now, let's assume that things go horribly wrong for government one, and as a result of which we have a confidence motion, things go even worse, and Parliament decides it has no confidence in that particular government. It withdraws the legitimacy function. Government has no legitimacy anymore, and the rules of parliamentary government are dissolved, as is government, and it's ta-ta to you. What happens next is we need to form another government. So we look, can anybody else form a government based upon the existing Parliament? And if the answer to that is no, then I'm afraid Parliament itself has to say, well, we have to vote ourselves out of existence. We have another election. Hopefully this generates a different Parliament, and from that we can derive a different government based on the rules of parliamentary government. And that's it. That is all you need to know about legitimization. We've done it in less than 4 minutes, and I'm very proud of that. No doubt there will be questions. Please do bring them to me. I look forward to answering them when next we meet. See you then.